do something that is reputable, that you'll earn well from, has a sense of like nobility attached to it.
When things are sort of a bit more negative and a bit more tough, a bit more pressure, that energy is also sucked out of you in some way, because you rely on that energy. And that's definitely what I feel.
So the idea of like doing business was off the table as far as I was concerned. Especially young people, they'll come into a new business and there's like all this pressure to perform.
A leader, learning about people, learning about growth.
But everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different way of thinking. Everyone's going through different challenges at different parts of their life.
Fast forward, we're now on the podcast.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Work in Progress with Adnan Gaul. Today we have Dr. Niz and Dr Punita with us, two dentists from Feel Good Dental and Foxley Dental. They're going to go through a deep dive of how they got to the role that they did within dentistry, owning two dental practices, but also understanding the emotion they go through, the connection they have to have with patients, with staff members, being leaders in those roles. It's not just about the practicality of your everyday dentistry. It's about the relationship building with your patients. It's about the relationship building with your team, and the journey they've been on to get to this point. Now, we all know our journeys are all a work in progress, but we all try and develop from this. And let's get into Dr. Niz and Punita's journey. Thank you, guys.
All right. Appreciate you having us here.
It's been great.
I thought I'd be like having grey hair and just a bit older before I got called or someone to a first podcast. So it feels like an honour. It feels like a proper honour. So thank you.
You've got more wisdom than you probably think.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. No, thank you. It's like I just hope it's useful. Like the conversation and the discourse we have today is going to help the listeners in some way.
No, I hope so too. And that's the whole aim of this podcast, right? Is trying to speak to people, inspire, even if it's one person, but everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different way of thinking. Everyone's going through different challenges at different parts of their life. And even at this age, like you said, we may only be in our 30s. It's not a case that we can't inspire other people, and it's not a case that we can't still be inspired. So it's kind of we're a midpoint.
Yeah.
How did you guys get into dentistry?
Yeah, so we spoke a little about this before, didn't we? But for me, and I think somewhat for yourself as well, isn't it? Good. I certainly fell into it. I grew up in a.
So you had no intention of actually getting into dentistry at all?
Not really. Not for the love or passion of dentistry. Not the And
You're not obsessed with teeth? No.
No. How weird that I wasn't obsessed with teeth, right? Because everyone should be, right? Yeah. But yeah, I didn't think, even to the point that I chose it, and I was even at uni, that I didn't even have the foresight to be like, okay, 2 or 3 years from now, I'll be in a dental practice, in people's mouths. I wasn't really thinking too far ahead. I just felt like I was doing what was almost prescribed to me from my, I think that's what I want to use, like prescribed from my parents, which is like do something that is reputable, that you'll earn well from, has a sense of like nobility attached to it, and you'll do okay in life. And I think from a young age that just resonated for me. It just felt like a very simple toolkit or rulebook to navigate from, or to at least understand. Like I could see that. And then, I fell into it, and I can joke about it with my parents now. But when I did have, I describe it as a quarter life crisis, because I was about coming out of uni, so early 20s, when I did the penny did drop to think, wait a minute, I could have done anything in life, and this is what I chose. And I think there are other people in not necessarily my year group, but just peers, like people of that age who decided to do something without really consciously thinking about what they wanted to do. But I'm here now, and thanks to a lot of really wonderful people around me that I'm very grateful for. One of them being this person on the side. Like I enjoy the job, but it's not something that I consciously chose.
Punita, how about yourself?
Pretty much the same as Niz, if I'm honest.
interesting that both of you own the dental world, but had no sort of intention of.
Yeah, no, zero.
Zero. I feel like you should have got better guesses.
No, but I think the way, because so I had nobody in the field that was medical in my direct family, and so I thought, I'd be going into business, I'd just have an office job, and then it came to sort of A levels, and I didn't really enjoy economics, and everyone was applying for uni, and I was like, I really don't know what to apply for. So breaking the news to my parents that I wanted to take a gap year was like the biggest hurdle for me, because they're like, what, you want to take time out of studies? Like, so for an Asian family thing, I don't know how your parents would have taken that. You didn't take a gap year, did you?
Again, I wouldn't have been brave enough. I wouldn't have.
It took you such a long time to build up the courage. I used to practice what I was going to say to my dad, and to justify taking a year out.
What was your justification?
I can't really remember, but I was kind of like, I need this time because I'd rather just concentrate on getting my results for A level. I wasn't very academic either, so I had to work really hard to try and get good results at year 13. And so then I was like, if you just fucking concentrate on getting my results and not have to worry about uni, that's just not on my shoulders. And then after I can apply confidently because I would have had my grades, rather than it being unpredictable whether I was going to go to uni or even get into uni. I think that's the stance I took to essentially buy me some time to see what I wanted to do. And then in my gap year, basically, I just did lots of work experience. I did work experience in the financial sector, pharmacy, optom, dental.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did loads. And then I was just ruling out things that I didn't enjoy. And basically dental was the only one that I took a little bit of interest in. And then...
Sorry to interrupt. It doesn't sound like you fell into it. It sounds like you really thought about it, though.
No, because I did, because my A levels were biology, chem, and maths and economics. And I was either going to do dentistry or chemical engineering. That was basically my thing. And then they were very different.
Very different.
Yeah, it's because I really enjoyed chemistry and maths. And then I just remember on work experience, one of the dentists told me, dentistry is I don't know if I should say this, but dentistry is really good for females because it just gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of working, and if you still have a family, then you can work a few days and that's suffice. It's enough. You don't have the pressure of a full-time job because you're self-employed. Even if you don't own a practice, you're still just self-employed.
So you wanted that balance. You knew that from that offset, you kind of knew that work-life balance was quite critical for you in some way.
I probably didn't understand it. Because my parents never work-life balance. My dad never had a social life. He doesn't have hobbies. He doesn't have anything. So I never knew what that was. But I think that was the only thing that stuck with me. And I was like, okay, well, I have two older brothers. So they've been through uni. They're working and all of that. So I was like, okay, cool. I just need to make a decision on this. So I just applied to dentistry. Didn't really think I was going to get in. And then I guess it was just meant to be.
Fast forward, we're now on the podcast.
Any regrets?
Yeah. This current present moment, I'd say no, because I'm really enjoying life. As I said, feeling very grateful for just all the opportunities coming our way. I'd say definitely a door unlocked when it came to actually owning a practice, because I don't know that I was enjoying dentistry just being a dentist, but the sort of business aspect that comes into owning practice has created this really nice balance, which suits me.
And so when you Feel Good was, Foxley and Dental was your first practice, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then Feel Good Dental was the second practice.
Correct.
Yeah.
How old were you guys roughly when you guys had this practice?
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting, Anna, because we kind of own them independently, and there are two other partners involved in both our businesses. But Punita started or took over that business with those two partners, and I have no direct kind of financial kind of connection or in terms of
very independent businesses now.
Indeed, and it's only through her doing her thing. And how old were you? Just on
27.
27 at the time. And at that point, so I started Feel Good roughly a year after she took over Foxley Lane, and I was so against the idea of her even starting a business. I was like, we're not ready. We need to build our careers as dentists. So the idea of doing business was off the table as far as I was concerned. She did it anyways.
He was like,
Yeah, big step.
yeah. Well, we're very different in that way. I'm like very much, probably not in a good way. I don't think too much, if that makes sense.
I'm more of a planner.
Yeah, he's a planner in everything. Like that's just his personality. Like
You're more like me.
yeah, if we go on holiday, it needs to be like planned from A to Z, right? Every day, know what we're doing.
Yeah. You know. It's got me there.
Whereas I literally book a holiday, and the only thing I'd book is to fly in and out and take it pretty chill.
And then when that holiday goes really well, and you think, oh, wasn't that good? Do you not stop to think,
But I say,
maybe there was someone behind all of this, like guys like us trying to.
So essentially, when it came to the opportunity of having practice, I didn't really think about it too much because I'm like, this opportunity has come up, and at this time, so close to home, I just kind of took it with both hands. And people with Niz's personality type would be like, really analyze the situation, right? Like, think about your position in terms of your career, your financial situation, the amount of debt that you're going to take on. Are you even confident enough as a clinician, as a person in your own skin to be able to like run a business, make decisions, lead people? No, I wasn't. Like, I'm definitely not. But I think for me, if I didn't do it, I would have not done it until much later on in life, and then I wouldn't have. I think it would have been harder for me to adapt as well. And I think just being thrown in the deep end, just seeing what comes and deal with it as problems arise. I think I learn better that way anyway.
Are you a riskier person, would you say?
I think so. I don't. Yeah, for sure.
You prefer to sort of just get into it and figure it out along the way.
Yeah, it's nice in a way. I've learnt from that and seeing, certainly in the last few years, and probably you taking over Foxley Lane was like the springboard for me then to just that's the first time in our marriage. I mean, we'd known each other for about 5 years before we got married. It's the first time in a relationship where I really got to see this side of Punita where she would jump into something, and it was only after that initial takeover of Foxley Lane where I started to see and appreciate a lot more of that kind of philosophy, which is one where you're kind of actually just very present and you're not worried about the future and the challenges you'll face. You're just going to go for it. And I think tonight to quote back, just doing it, like, and there's so much power in that, like, just go for it and let's just see what happens. So it's
a good partnership in some way where you guys sort of, like you said, you plan a little bit more. You may think you're sometimes overthinking it, but then with Punita kind of helping, but I guess you act on things a lot quicker in some way, but you can test and trial things.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I think we balance each other out quite a lot because he's a much better people's person than I am. His emotional, he's more in tune in terms of like emotional intelligence, and like as you said before at the start, like you can quite obviously tell how different we are in terms of people, and I think that's where we can bounce ideas or each other, or I'm like, Niz, I've got this issue, how to deal with it, etc., or give each other feedback. And I think that's super helpful because I think when you own a business on your own, it can be very lonely, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Like if you don't have anyone giving feedback to you, or just like bouncing ideas off, or dealing with people is really hard. And for someone that, like me especially, who's not a people's person, who's always been an introvert, if anybody listening to this that's, was or knew me in high school would be surprised to see like where and how I am now, I think. Because before my gap year, I wouldn't even speak at like being like, speaking at school was just like the hardest thing for me to do. Or like talking in, like pick my hand up in class and like answering a question was so out of my comfort zone. I would never do that.
So taking that courage to then ask your dad to go on gap year, that must have been so difficult. But then you're saying that 1 year of having a gap year actually changed you as a person.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You found, it sounds cliche, you found yourself, but actually...
So cliche, I didn't want to say it.
It's okay, it's safe now.
You learn a lot about, you came out of your comfort zone. Even right now, I can see, like, I feel like Niz and me are probably coming out like sometimes a little bit, actually doing a podcast in front of a camera is not easy. But at the same time for yourself, it's probably one step further.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was in my gap year is because if you think about it, you don't really get, I mean, I didn't have a job, right, before then, right? I didn't have like a part-time job or a weekend job or anything like that whilst I was in high school. So I think when I had my gap year and I was working and I got to see the world and meet people from different pathways, and I worked in retail and I worked as a dental nurse, and I again, it was just getting thrown in the deep end, right? Just dealing with people, and I think that just helped me come out my shell really, like massively.
And do you think within sort of a dental practice, but also only knowing dental practice, do you think that those skill sets are probably more important than, obviously the dental treatment is important because you need to know the knowledge behind it, you need to practice it. But do you think those people skills are probably more important to some extent to actually make sure that patients are comfortable, not anxious?
Yeah.
And switching from patient to patient as well.
Yeah. It's all about bedside manner. Like, if you can't get on the same level as the person or the patient opposite you, no one wants to be in the dental environment, right? No one enjoys going to the dentist. Most people are anxious, and I think you have to be so many different personalities, but at the end of the day, you just have to be like a human, and for them to be able to feel comfortable to even just trust you, to look in their mouth, like it's so personal. And I think a lot of people do lack the communication skills and the social skills, and I think what we've learned as well, trying to look for dentists that fit what we're looking for within the practice and our ethos, we find it hard to find dentists that even communicate well, because on paper they look great because they tick all the boxes, right? But when it comes to dealing with patients, difficult patients or anxious patients, etc., I think that just comes with like time as well and experience.
And it's not just that, it's rare, I think, to find someone who leads with like compassion. I'll use the word compassion maybe, like for want of a better term. Yes, indeed. Like just, you mentioned the word human, like just being human at the end of the day, to bring it down to a point when there's a difficult discussion you're having with a patient who's riled up or angry or upset or even just anxious, scared, like you can connect with that person as a human being first and foremost. Like it's hard to find people who have that within their sort of nature, who can naturally operate from that, because they think it's maybe weak or it's making them vulnerable. But actually, I think I don't know. I think this extends way beyond dentistry. I think just in life, if you are someone who's just a great human who's just compassionate and just wants to share in this experience with like complete detachment for like the outcome. You're just here for it. Like it's easy to connect. It's easy. You're on the same channel, and you feel it. It's something that you just feel.
So there's no right or wrong way of doing it. I guess it's just going with the flow, but finding your own way of doing it.
Yeah.
Another thing is you're going sort of, I wouldn't say up or down to the level, but it's to the level of the patient and understanding where they're coming from in your own way. There's no right answer to that. So from your perspective, I feel like your personality is very similar to mine. Very extroverted, sort of, you're very emotionally intelligent, like Peter was saying. But with that, that's great from one aspect of things, whereby you probably connect really well with patients and you try and be the best leader, and you try and bring that energy. And I can see many times I've kind of met with you, bringing that energy is something that's there. At the same time, when things are sort of a bit more negative and a bit more tough, a bit more pressure, that energy is also sucked out of you in some way, because you rely on that energy. And that's definitely what I feel. Is that something that you feel, and how do you sort of deal with it? Do you deal with it?
Yes, I deal with it very badly. Like something like
and it's wrong.
You asked me, don't you?
No, I'm working on it. As I was saying to you, like just before the cameras were rolling, it's probably the thing I'm focusing most on at the start of this year, 2026, is just like is leadership, and like you couldn't have said it better myself, I guess, Anand, in the sense that I've come with a lot of enthusiasm and you know, energy about what I'm doing and trying to bring that to the team. But if something's off, if the day hasn't gone quite to plan, if the kind of aspirations I have of like, you know, the goal for the day or the week, the month, don't feel like they're in line with what the people I sort of employ and trying to support, if they're not in line with their kind of vision for like what they want out of the day, it sucks out the energy, and you feel deflated, and you feel like, am I doing this right? And I get into a bit of a like tiz in my head, and I kind of actually close up. And as my colleagues would tell me, like I kind of become a very different person. My whole energy shifts. I'm just found out in my head thinking, I guess just frustrated, thinking I'm not doing a good job. And well, actually no, that I'll be honest, I'm usually thinking my team aren't doing a good job. But then I started to realize, well, that's just down to me. Like it all comes down to how you conduct, you know, you're there to conduct the team and to get them on the right kind of frequency issue. So in terms of how I'm trying to get around that, it's having really open and frank like conversations with the team. They know me as this like, you know, I guess they would describe it as like a deep guy, but I don't like that label. It's more just like wanting to connect on a more profound level, a more human level, a level of like openness and vulnerability to be like, look, I'm not being my normal happy self. I'm sorry about that. I don't want to be this. And you just have to like call out what is very obvious. You know, what is the elephant in the room, which is like, I know I've just been really, I've just been a real like kind of just downer today as a person. I've just been really, really bummed out, and that's probably affected you. I'm sorry, and like here's why. And
vulnerability.
Yeah, I think so, because then they open up straight away.
That's a good example, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually, without that knowledge, without that sharing, the people will come by thinking, "Oh, have I done something wrong?" Niz is like he's kind of he's got this angst, and he, you know, that's now. Did I do something? Was it me? And then like, and no one knows because there's no the truth hasn't been shared.
When you were both a dentist, and you were, I guess, you were the dentist within a dental practice.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you had to be motivated, or you'd got out of your way, out of hours, and need to do other things, or did you just stick to your hours and? Yeah,
it's a great point, because when I was a dentist, it was I wasn't thinking for the practice either. I was just as bad as, I guess, the I don't want to use the word bad, but you know, I was just as complacent, or you know, not willing to be a part of the practice, in the sense that my time was my time, and you know, unless I'm getting paid for it, I don't want to know. So I had the same attitude, actually, which is a really good point. And it's all about maybe again coming down to leadership, or it not being framed to me in the right way, which, like, again, all the people I worked for pretty much have been great mentors, but I guess like it's all about that's why I think I mentioned leadership, like, not to say that they were weak leaders, but like if there was like this North Star that we all could see, like when I was working at a different practice, let's say, and like, so we understand like what the objective is of me being here in this building, and that is to, like, you know, like raise profits, and this is how you do it, and like it, you know, and if it's just broken down into really, really simple ways of how actually, if I do this will help me. I'm actually going to get loads more patients and loads more like income as a result of this. So it's just
breaking it down in some way.
Breaking it down and getting motivated in the right way.
I think it's also difficult because you don't know if they genuinely enjoy the job, right, as well. So I think with, like you were saying, if your boss, when we were dentists working for other people, if they sat down and had a conversation, be like, you know, if you did X, Y, Z, this is how it could affect you directly, then it's not like, I mean, I personally would have been resistant to it. I never had a chat like that. And that's why I think Niz and I with our staff are very forthcoming with those kind of conversations. Like, do you really enjoy the job? You know, is there anything we can do to help you support you on the progress? You know, we will invest in you as you know, a team a valued team member, right? You want to learn X, Y, Z. Let's get you on that course. And I think because we had these experiences where we didn't understand a lot of it, or our eyes weren't open up to like the business side of dentistry, or like the bigger picture other than you and the patient. I think every person in a dental practice should know, or even be aware of it in the slightest.
Do you find starting those conversations are quite tough then, or are they?
I think initially it was because they're not easy conversations to have, because that barrier between like a professional working relationship, and you're having, again, Niz has taught me, like initially the first year Niz used to sit in all of these conversations with me because I couldn't have difficult conversations, like it just wasn't in my DNA, like it was just so hard for me. So I think the first year and a half, anytime I needed a difficult conversation with the staff, I'd make sure he'd be present. And the first few he led, and I used to just learn from him because he's good at it, right?
It takes courage as well, though, in that way, that you're actually asking him for your support, letting him lead, but you knowing that you're learning from that. Because as a leader of your own dental practice, sometimes you think, oh, I need to be this, I need to kind of make sure that I have everything, I know everything, but actually you don't. Like, it's a whole learning process. And to drop that sort of ego in some way and just, not to say that you have an ego, but
no, definitely.
To say, I need the support to help me learn to be a better leader. That's quite admirable.
No, it's difficult though.
Yeah. Humility is maybe like the word you'd use. Like I think because it's just that, and I'm every day I'm just trying to become more of that. Because it's hard. The ego is very much just there, like all the time, driving you. Like the aspiration for the business, is probably more of an ego dominated like desire, because you just want to do well. You want to do well for your family. You want to, essentially be free. And most of that's probably because if it wasn't ego derived, you'd be giving out free dental care.
It's obviously it's selfish. But I think it just comes down to leadership, right?
And one thing just on like just Gen Zs, if we're just skirting around that topic, and I'm getting this from a book, so it's not something that I can really put claim to, but something that I read, which now when I'm looking out for any new person to join the team, is like a combination of them just being very curious about what they don't know, like curious, just like really interested and engaged about the job and asking questions, and then just being generous with what they do know. So curious about what they don't know, generous with what they do know, which is to say that if they think something could be done better, that they feel very comfortable and confident to just say it. It could be something simple, like a new employee that I bring into the practice, and they're like, "Oh, like have you ever thought about just changing the floor arrangements, or the fact that I don't like that smell, I don't like the smell of the practice. Can we do something about that?" They can just they're seeing it not. I think a lot of people, especially young people, they'll come into a new business and there's like all this pressure to perform, and that pressure kind of sucks out any kind of childlike or wide-eyed kind of like perception to what is really obvious, which is like I can make these very small suggestions and actually make the business way more like useful or like beneficial. And it's a shame, because there's probably fresh eyes are always going to be great, but we don't even pay credence or give credit to like what they can like offer in terms of knowledge, and we think we have to like train them, we have to tell them how to do things, but just being curious about the stuff that we're teaching them, but also just giving that platform to just be able to share what they do that we can learn from.
So remember what we're talking about at the moment is, I guess, the peripherals of dentistry. As in dentistry in itself, obviously doing the procedures, etc., is one part of it. Right. The whole journey for the patient,
right,
and for the staff to actually, when they come through that front door, the smell, for example, just feeling comfortable before they're going for a procedure or just a checkup or wherever it may be. And it sounds so small, you think actually your patient's coming in, having a procedure and leaving. To have that transactional, sometimes you realise you lose the warmth. It doesn't make anyone feel comfortable, but actually those small points have just broken barriers down that we don't even realise have could have broken down
Yeah.
before the patient even gets to you.
Yeah.
So if you or one of your team are having a good day or bad, whatever it may be, but they're already prepped in some way when they're sitting in that chair, ready to be ready to go through their appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I think the more you encourage it, the more like fun like the work will get for everybody.
It's just a lot more engaging.
Yeah, I think I use the word. Not that I think we've grasped it yet as a team, but like the idea is, I just say like just try and again like Disney does it best, and it's like I keep bringing up Disney, but it's just the idea that just create some magic for a patient today. Just and I like the word magic, and I'm taking that from probably stuff that Rory Sutherland would say. Just the idea that you just surprise someone today and just shake them out of their reality for a second and tune them into like the feel good like kind of vibe. Because they'll remember that and it will touch them in a way that they will never expect to have such a nice fresh experience at dental practice, and that's all that's required, I think. Especially in an age where like attention is just like really poor.
So short-lived,
You just need to shake them out a little bit into what's happening right now.
I think that's been the one thing which Niz has really opened my eyes to, which naturally he's quite a creative person, right? And I'm not so much.
We're all creative.
No, but
you stop saying that.
No, okay, fine. But what I mean is, like, when you think about owning a dental practice, it's really easy just to be like, oh, this is just, you open it, you open them, or you buy a dental practice, whatever, and you just think about ways you can attract new patients. But it's just seeing it through this lens of marketing, which is just really interesting, and I think that makes it quite fun as well. Like little touch points of how you can do something in the whole patient journey that's going to just surprise them and just be like, oh, I didn't expect that. Giving them little gifts at the end of their treatment, like, this is just a thank you, sending them flowers to their home. Like little things like that go such a long way, and then you don't spend any money on like traditional marketing like Google Ads and Meta, all that stuff, which is just doesn't give you good leads. It's very expensive and it's just a lot of money.
I'm sure there's a marketing guy watching this screaming, but oh, we can actually do it properly.
No, of course you can. Of course you can.
Now leads are going to be coming now.
Yeah.
But it's more just the organic. I just don't think any organic growth is just going to be the best kind of growth for something like a dental practice where you're trying to bring long-term business. You want them to come back every 6 months for their checkups, for their hygiene. You don't want them to just come up for a one-off treatment, get their composite bonding and never come back, because that's great for the short term, but for the long term it's not what you're looking for. You're looking for returning business, right? So
I think every area of marketing has its place.
Yeah.
And it has its place, and it's done right before. But I think what you're talking about there, to some extent, it's aftercare, but also the whole customer journey, or the patient journey, sorry. It's just being human. Like you said, just saying thank you. It sounds so small, but actually it's such a big thing.
Yeah.
And that's going to the level of your patient, just trying to understand them and say, look, simple thank you is appreciated. If they've gone through a bad procedure, for example, send them some flowers just to say, I hope you're getting well. Shows that someone cares. I don't know if you do that or not, but these are, I guess, some of the processes, because when you're sitting in a surgery with a patient, it's probably very objective. This is the process I need to do, this is the symptoms.
Right.
I need to kind of
Yeah,
do.
exactly, yeah.
And it's great to have that, because you need to have that, without a doubt, because you're operating someone's body.
It's health.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
health.
Health.
And it's someone's life at the end of the day. But at the same time, how do you balance that with making sure they feel comfortable enough?
Yeah.
And do you both feel that you make patients feel quite comfortable, as in, as dentists go? Or do you find it a bit more challenging?
I enjoy it. It's an aspect of the job I enjoy the most, is the human interaction, the opportunity to serve someone, the opportunity to again, this will probably sound cliche, but just lighten up their day. And we all have that in any interaction like this one here, is to say something or do something, make someone feel in a way that actually that was one of the highlights of their day. So yeah, sorry, to your point, I enjoy that probably the most, more than the clinical side of dentistry. which is great because I think you just mentioned how the margins are very fine, it's subjective, you've got to do the procedure right, there's not really any excuse for it not to go well. So that keeps me like laser focused, and probably the only thing I think other than maybe driving where like my attention is really just there.
What did you say other than driving?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely not cooking.
Yeah.
As you know, you tasted my food. But like it's the only thing where I'm like, I guess in that flow kind of, state where I'm, and that's great. That's an aspect of the job I love. So if there's anyone out there who maybe struggles with attention, I think a lot of us do. I know I do.
I definitely do.
Yeah. We're definitely coming into like a vocation where you're forced to focus. You can't you don't have a choice. You have to do this treatment right. Everything else does fall away. Everything does fall away. Time falls away. You're just there doing it, and that's beautiful. I absolutely love that about the job. But at the end of all of that, the patient sat back up again, and then you have to ask them how it went, and then you're getting that feedback, which is nice. And sometimes it doesn't go well, and we don't send flowers, but I'll make a note to do that because we do it when stuff goes really well. But actually, you're right. It should also be looking at ways of addressing and acknowledging that actually this was quite tough and this wasn't the best experience. Like how can we make it better? But it feels like a very natural thing, I think, for all of us as humans to do is to just it comes. I think with this whole work in progress podcast, like the idea of just one of the themes being connection. It's just I think we're all just striving for more connection, we're all like yearning for it, and so just starting a conversation with the intention that I'm here to like serve you, like I'm here to just listen and be receptive to you and what you want is really nice. I read a really nice quote last year. It's probably now become my all-time favorite quote because it definitely, as someone who loves like sneakers and streetwear, and I buy way too much stuff and have all these desires for really trivial things, like it really speaks to me. But it's just that like desire, to talk about desire and like the human condition, like this quote is like, desire is basically making a contract with yourself to be unhappy until you've got the thing. And that really stuck with me. Like it's good.
It's a really good quote.
And that's just it. I think like sorry, to answer the question, it's actually easy to do because it gives you an excuse to just for a second not be yourself.
Just forget about it.
And it is a performance. It very much is like you come into work. Performance, I don't like the word because it almost makes it feel like it's not real, or like you're conning the patients into being someone else and like not this like charming, nice, empathetic, loving person, because we all have the capacity to do that.
Yeah, but it is performance in the sense that you have to make sure it's just on. You have to be on point you can't have like a bad day.
No, of course.
You have to get results at the end of the day. Like, if you're doing a procedure, let's say it's a root canal, you have to make sure that you operate the root canal to your best ability, right?
Yeah. Like,
but I wouldn't call it a performance, only in the sense that a performance, for me, it feels like you're putting something on while still holding these grudges and these stresses of life.
Yeah.
Whereas when I go into work, it's like that cartoon. What's it called? With the, do you know what you've got a daughter, and maybe you know. Well, she's probably too young for it. But like, what's the one with the people in the head?
Inside Out.
Inside Out. Yeah.
So
it's like that. It's like Inside Out, where like as soon as I come into work, like the happy side of me. Let's say if it wasn't on in the morning,
it would
turn
switched
it
on. Yeah.
And I'm just that guy now, and I have to be, and I'm doing that in front of my parents. And it's sort of performance as much as it is like. All of that other heavy stuff.
I just don't know another way to put it, but maybe performance isn't the best word for it. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Does that help?
How do you deal with that?
I don't really give it much thought, but it's weird because it's an automatic switch that just switches in your head. Like it's not something I'm consciously have to take 5 minutes like before I get the patient in and like do breathing exercising. I don't have to do that. It just kind of happens. And I think when again, it sounds really cliche, but I think when you enjoy your job, it's it just happens.
It feels like play.
Yeah, it just feels like, okay, cool, it's just going to be a good day. You look at your patients, you love your patients, you know them. And it's really nice when patients also just are so thankful for your time and your advice, and then it all just makes it worth it. And you're right, as soon as the last patient leaves the door at 5 o'clock, you're like, you know, you can kind of let your hair down a little bit, but also sometimes you feel drained, like we'll come home and we'll just feel knackered. And I think that's the downside of when you
give a lot of energy.
You give a lot, you're constantly giving. There's not a minute you can just not give. And I think when you're constantly giving energy, it can be really tiring. And sometimes in the evenings, we just want to shut off and not even have a conversation. And that's okay, because at the end of we need to recharge our batteries, right? And so, and I think just getting the balance is important as well.
There's different levels of focus. There's, I guess, you're looking in with a patient in front of you, like you said, it's everything kind of just strips away, laser focused. When it comes to the business side of stuff, you enjoy it, not say you don't love it, but that focus is a different kind of focus.
Yeah, it's different focus, which is harder for me to grasp. So I struggle with that because as long as the business is doing well enough, as long as there's new clients coming in, I think, okay. It's like, I think if it was crunch time and we had sort of big dip in numbers, you'd be forced into that. Yeah. But to naturally have the time and energy to do the more creative aspects of the thing, I give myself more time than I probably should allow, or at least I feel guilty about it, because I'm like, well, personal guilt. I want to feel like, okay, if I'm trying to make this the best dental practice on the planet, like I know I should be working harder. I should be giving it, more than I'm giving it, really. But again, I guess
it's everything in balance, because at the end of the day, you don't want to burn out, right? Because a lot of people burn out from starting off enjoying and loving what they do, and then ending up hating it.
That's true.
And detesting it, and so you don't want to be at that point, right?
No.
There's a lot of dentists that have gone via that route as well, and they hate what they do. But I've realised actually they've also then found what they love doing.
Yeah.
But there's elements of dentistry that's taught them how to be a certain person, or certain skill sets.
Yeah.
Both practical in terms of actually doing procedures, but also emotional, human connection, that kind of vibe. But they've ultimately found what they want to do. I see both of you as in, you didn't want to go into dentistry, you sort of found a path, but both of you shut up at 5 o'clock, or partly shut up at 5 o'clock, and you're pretty content, fulfilled.
Yeah. When we say shut off, what we shut off, like patient wise, there's so much other stuff that goes on. But I think this is like, there's so much more. You always feel like you could be doing more, right? We could be working into the early hours of the morning if we really wanted to grow quicker, but it really just depends on what you want in life, like your North Star, and I think that's just what it is.
Well, no, but just be, just being real here. Because I would say, I think she's very content. Like, she's very zen. Like I said, she doesn't think ahead too much. Plot, she's like,
you live in the present moment.
She lives in the present moment, for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm so much
But for me, like, I would say I'm not content right now, because I guess so. My North Star right now would be like just being free, because I think that would give me that would make me feel happy, and I can't say that I'm happy every single day. And look, we can critique that, and we can write. I'm sure people looking in would be like, well, you just talked about the fact that actually it's about not having desire, this, whether I think I want to be free to the point that I can wake up and do what I want and spend time with who I want, and just be able to say that and do that. For me, feels like it would be great. And so what that means is that North Star means to be free is to probably just have as the book that I talked about from that quote, it's a guy called Naval Ravikant, and he also essentially says okay, so if you want to be free, first thing to do is just get your finances in order, essentially, just have no more money problems, and that means essentially working hard. And business is the best way to do that, at least he thinks so, and that makes sense now that I'm doing business. Business is probably the best way to get that, unless you earn a decent living job and live well below your means, where you can pretty much say you're free. I mean, you still have to turn up to work though, right? So It's a really weird one for me, Anna, because as I said, like I come to work and I can forget about everything else, and I'm just there with the patients. So unless I was like in a simulation where all I saw was patients 24/7, I know I wouldn't be unhappy because I'm like just there and I'm present. I'd say when I'm with patients,
You're
that's
most
when I'm most present.
Yeah.
Because then there's no such the notion of happiness. None of that matters because I'm just there. Outside of the dental chair and clinic, when I'm running the business, actually, I'd say I wouldn't say I'm happy. I am motivated. I'm driven, and it's like I'm grateful for the opportunity to have this business and take it to a place where I want to be happy. But it's not like such a weird contradiction. Where like actually in my clinical practice, I'd like to think I'm quite happy, or if not happy is not the word to use, just content, because I'm just there. And outside of that, I'm probably not present, so I'm thinking about the future, wanting to feel good somewhere else. And I don't know if other people can empathise who like own businesses or run business or want to strive to do well in life. And I mean, I guess you're a good example of someone who actually keeps it quite grounded, and you probably like the same things as I've just said, free, no more money problems, but you're also pretty like relaxed, and I guess that's part of the living in the now thing.
Yeah, but I think planning, future planning is important, right? That if you don't do that, then you can't get all of that stuff you're seeing, right?
But I guess there's too much pressure on making sure I get it. I don't know.
I'm quite inspired by your, I guess, work in progress. And it's about your North Star and where you're going to.
Actually, but see what that.
Punita, your work in progress, or sort of, because you live in the present. Like you said, you plan for the future, but you also live quite in the present. What would you say you're working on as a person?
Personally,
Personally?
I've grown so much in the last 3 years of becoming a practice owner, not only clinically as a dentist, but just as a person. Like just learning or leading into being like a leader, learning about people, learning about growth, all that kind of stuff has been marketing, all that stuff's been just quite interesting as well. So personal goals, I don't really know. Like I don't have goals, I don't make New Year's resolutions, I'm not that type of person. I kind of just I genuinely just go with the flow.
Yeah,
It's very admirable.
I can attest to that. Yeah, she just take life as it comes, and
You need a bit of that, I think.
Yeah.
I think you need a balance, but I think you need a bit of that just to go with the flow, enjoy what you have.
When it comes to like making a decision and you contemplate it so much that, I mean, the way I see it is if you do it, what are you going to lose? Right? And you think about a decision so much that you end up not making a decision.
Yeah, and I think if you can take it back down to just the fact that like you kind of there's lots of different ways of framing what life is, the meaning of life. You look at it from a religious lens or a spiritual lens, but at the end of the day, I guess just knowing that we've come here with nothing. So like the fact that we have life and we're living, breathing, we have things. Like we are winning, like we're in surplus to what we had before, which is I don't know what came before, but there was nothing and now there's something. And so that's just something to be grateful for or happy about. That we just we are winning. We're always, the fact that we're living and breathing means we're winning, I guess, is maybe how you would put it. I wish I'm saying that, not actually practicing that if I'm honest, because I'm on that thing, on this thing, on that thing. But like to take it back.
Those are small things that always keep us going. I don't disagree with any of that. At the end of the day, we have those things that are fulfilling. But there's also some small little things that just are nice to have. And there's nothing wrong in that.
There's nothing wrong with that. No.
I think so.
And just, I guess, motivates us to go a little further. I'll be interested to have this conversation again in 10 years' time. And see,
This might change quite a lot. So yeah.
You'll see her with like Hermes bags.
Yeah, maybe, who knows? New era.
No, it's sorry, I only had one more thing to say, just to back what you said, which I thought was really, really nice. It's just but it's kind of escaping me as I'm talking. It was around the motivations. Oh, it's just about so that's why I felt as if leadership is something to focus on for me this year, because I think part of like I mean, you can look at leaders in history, good and bad, and they just captivated an audience, right? And they got them to do things for them, good or bad, yes, but it was all under like this kind of power of leadership. And I guess that's what I'm trying to develop, is just this leadership quality that means that the people working with me, my team essentially, kind of are inspired, and so that, and you know, I don't think I'm doing anything here that's going to close doors for them. I don't think that at all. So like if I'm an inspirational kind of leader, they'll sort of fall under that feel good banner really quickly, and like all progressing to what, yes, ultimately the business needs, but it should benefit in the process. So it's like a win-win, right? But it's the leadership thing where I'm like, yeah, want to nail that now, like this year.
There's no right or wrong to it.
Yeah.
It's how you do it, how you take your personality out into that leadership role, and your environment, your team's going to be very different. So your leadership, what you do now, will be in 5 years' time, I imagine, probably be very different as well. Because the experiences you've had, but also your team will be very different.
Yeah. Well, even experiences like this is helping me, like character building. You know, I've never been on a podcast before. I'd probably be, you know, we joked about like, you know, you not ever considering doing this and me probably being okay with it. And yes, I'm okay with it, but deep down I am, you know, I guess naturally just audit like how I'm coming across, how I'm sounding, am I doing a good job? But that, it's great. So thank you for the opportunity, and because it's like, it's really nice because it gives me an opportunity. It helps with this whole thing around leadership where it's like, okay, I've got to give this a shot. And I think that's part of what like good leaders do, is again kind of being like brazened and like kind of no fair into a situation. You just got to put yourself forward. So no, thank you for allowing me to do that, and hopefully it's all right.
Thank you very much, Niz.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone listening.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe, and most importantly, please comment. Any questions, any feedback, always useful. At the end of the day, we want you guys to be happy about what you listen to, and make sure that you can be inspired, but also take some learning from this, if anything. Thank you.